The African Union Commission elections will take place in a few days' time, on the 7th of February to be exact, in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa. They come in the face of unprecedented levels of public outcry due to the fact that for the first time in its history, the incumbent chairperson, Faki Mahamat of Chad, is running unopposed for a second four-year term. He was the only name put forward by any of the continent's heads of state. I spoke to the head of the African Union Reforms Implementation Unit, Professor Pierre Moukoko Mbonjo, and I began by asking him how it came to be that there is a single candidate for the position of AU Commission Chairperson at this weekend's elections.
First of all, let me tell you that in November 2018, heads of state and government of the African Union did gather here in Addis to review the process of selecting the leadership of the Commission, namely the chairperson, the deputy chairperson, and commissioners. It was decided that henceforth, a panel of eminent Africans will be in charge of pre-selecting the candidates from all over the continent. As you may recall, there was a very important decision that was made to reduce the number of commissioners or members of the commission from 10 to 8. In the present situation, the commission comprises 10 members, the chairperson, deputy chairperson, 8 commissioners, with gender parity, which is unique compared to other international organizations. Now, the number has been reduced from 10 to 8. We have a chairperson, deputy chairperson, and 6 commissioners. So the new process of pre-selecting and selecting is the following. You submit, of course, your candidature to the office of the legal counsel of the union, but no citizen is allowed to personally submit his or her candidature. You need to have the endorsement of your government, of your heads of state or government. Once you have that endorsement, your candidature is sent to the office of the legal counsel of the union at the headquarters of the commission in Addis Ababa. Then the office of the legal counsel transmits that candidature to the panel of eminent Africans, 5 members, 1 from the northern region, 1 from the western, southern, eastern, and central. So from there, the panel that is presently assisted by an independent African firm on human resources management has set a number of requirements in terms of job profiles. They review all those candidatures. And after that exercise of pre-selections, they send the candidature that are eligible back to the legal counsel of the commission. And the legal counsel now sends those, let's say, publishes those candidatures. After that second phase, there is the pre-selection exercise per se that is carried by the panel of eminent Africans. And then those candidates that are pre-selected are duly informed, and their names, the list of candidatures is made public. So the whole process started end of May. As far as commissioners are concerned, I'll get to the chairperson, but as far as commissioners are concerned, The whole process started in May, end of May. All the candidatures were advertised on the 3rd of June. And all African citizens had 3 months to submit their candidatures. Office of the chairperson, deputy chairperson, and those 6 commissioners. So the closing, the deadline was 3 months later, 3rd of June, 4th of September at 5 p.m. in the office of the legal counsel in Addis Ababa. All the candidatures that were endorsed by heads of state and government were received through the deans of the 5 regions. The deans, the longest serving ambassador of a region here in Addis. And they did submit their, let's say, their final results and recommendations on the 5th of October. So that's for commissioners. As far as the chairperson and the deputy chairpersons are concerned, the same process. Is not an individual that submits his or her candidature. It is the heads of state or government that does that work. It's not the responsibility of an individual, it's the responsibility of a whole nation through her government. So what was just simply noticed that while for the positions of commissioners, there were about, of the 6 commissioners, there were about 100 candidatures that were submitted in September, and about 50 that were pre-selected. While for the deputy chairperson position, there were more than about 15 candidatures that came from member states. For the chairperson, only 1 candidature came from heads of state and government of the 55 member states. That candidature was submitted by His Excellency President Idriss Déby Itno of Chad on the 1st of September, which means 3 days before the deadline. Right? His Excellency Moussa Faki Mahamat himself was waiting for the decision of his heads of state. So that's what happened. There's no mystery in that. And it is exactly the same thing that happened last year with the African Development Bank. When it came to renew the president of the African Development Bank. You know, the outgoing president, Dr. Adesina from Nigeria, ran unopposed. So it's not the first time that is happening. You know, the African Development Bank is the #1 financial institution in Africa. So is it a new trend? We don't know. But what we're just noticing is that in the case of the African Development Bank, the outgoing president ran unopposed. And in the case of the African Union Commission,
the African Development Bank is not the same as the African Union Commission. The African Union Commission represents citizens in their entirety and different regions. So the question must come is that the citizens, were they part of the process that their heads of state took? Because we know that 28 million people have signed a petition saying they're not happy with this. That means a lot of people either didn't know what happened, decisions were made on their behalf, and they feel disenfranchised. And I would put it to you that the African Union Commission is for the people, not for the heads of state.
I'm sorry, I don't want to lecture. I'm professor of political science, international relations, and diplomacy. I don't want to lecture. No, that's a totally false conception of what an international organization is all about. It is an intergovernmental organization. It is a member state-led process. Heads of state and government are legitimate representatives of their countries. Once a citizen casts his or her vote to choose a leader, heads of state or prime minister, that's representative democracy. That heads of state makes daily decisions. It does not refer to the citizens every day. You know, the job of heads of state, I'm a former minister of foreign affairs. The job of a head of state is to decide. Every time he walks into his office, he starts deciding. He decides the whole day, 7 days a week. Do you mean that? Every time a head of state or government has to decide something, he has to refer to the citizens? That's what we call in political science and constitutional law, direct democracy. It does no longer exist. It is indirect democracy, which is representative democracy. You vote for an MP who represents your constituency in parliament. You vote for your president who represents you nationally and internationally. Heads of state and government have a clear mandate of their people. That's why they decide on behalf of all of us. And they have solemnly decided as heads of state or sovereign state to submit a plurality of candidatures for the positions of deputy chairpersons, for the positions of commissioners, and they did not present candidatures for the position of chairperson.
All right, perhaps.
And let me tell you what, because we have to be very serious when we're dealing with such matters.
Yes.
No demagogy, right? No demagogy, right? Mm-hmm. Those are very responsible people. We have put our fate into their hands. And they will account for the mandate at the end of the term of office. So this time, they decided that they will not, 54 out of 55 heads of state and government decided not to submit a candidature from their own nationals for the position of chairperson. But let me tell you what, it is not because Adesina was the sole candidature that he was sure to be elected at the helm of the African Development Bank. It is not because His Excellency Moussa Faki Mahamat, as the outgoing president of the African Union Commission, is the sole candidate that is sure to be elected. Because to be elected, chairperson, deputy chairperson, or commissioners, you need to rally a two-thirds majority, at least. Two-thirds majority. So what two-thirds majority? Out of 55 member states, you need to rally at least 36 votes cast by heads of state and government. And let me tell you what, I was former foreign minister of external relations, what you call foreign affairs. In South Africa, you call international relations. I was representing my president, President Paul Biya, at the assembly when it came to elect a new commissioner in 2013. There were at least 3 to 4 candidates. Then 2 were there. Jean Ping was the outgoing chairperson of the commission. And Madame Zuma did submit her candidature through President Zuma. Jean Ping, after the 4th round, remained the sole candidate. We cast our votes. I did cast a vote. What I'm telling you is not theory. I'm a professor, but here I'm a former foreign minister. I'm telling you what I did at the level of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government. Moussa Faki was my colleague, foreign minister of Chad, when I was foreign minister of Cameroon. So we did cast our votes. And Jean Ping couldn't rally the two-thirds majority, was not elected. 6 months later, we came back to Addis. Moussa Faki and Dlamini Zuma, right? After the 4th round, then Dlamini Zuma was leading. She remained the sole candidate. But she still needed the two-thirds majority. And she got to the majority. She became the chairperson of the AUC. So you know, really, those things needs to be known by the African citizens.
All right.
It's a totally transparent process.
I think your explanation makes sense, but perhaps a question that they might have is, did all the heads of state nominate, or did they just not put someone forward? So in other words, whoever put Mr. Mahamat's name into the ring, if nobody else puts a name into the ring, they're actually saying we're not opposing. Is that what happened, or did all 54 say this is the person that we want to represent the AUC?
No, not at all. We shall know their positions on the 7th of February, next Sunday. They did not nominate 54 after 55 heads of states and government did not nominate any of their nationals for the position of the chairperson.
Why?
Now,
why did they not do that? I mean, one doesn't understand as a citizen of this continent. Do
you really think that Professor Moukoko Mbonjo, talking to you now, is in a position to give you a response on behalf of 54 heads of state and government? That's not possible, of course.
And perhaps what then this feeds into is this fear that a lot of these decisions that are made are already made behind closed doors, and that conspiracies abound in terms of agreeing on an outcome in advance. And again, the citizens will watch this and they'll say, but how is that possible? And you can't answer that question. But one of the objectives of the African Union Commission and African Union is to better connect with the citizens. And it looks as if your head of state lets you down, then I'm afraid it's tough luck.
I'm sorry. You know, I'm not here to campaign for Chairperson Moussa Faki.
Yes.
But let me tell you what. Since 1963, is the organization of the African Unity OAU till date, it's the first ever chairperson that has visited the 55 capitals in the African continent. No one has ever done that before. So Moussa Faki Mahamat is personally known by each of those heads of state. And if you think those heads of state are responsible people, you should not even ask such a question. Because as I'm telling you, we are living in a world where there is a representative democracy. It is not a direct democracy. The people are ruled on the basis of their own choices. That's why we have heads of state. That's why we have elections. And once a head of state is there, he's appointed a government. Once he is appointed a government, citizen will ask, why did you appoint X or Y? No. They have decided in the case this time, because they are the same heads of state for the African Development Bank. They are the same heads of state. they decided for the African Development Bank this time that only Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, will nominate Dr. Adesina. And then on election day, they freely cast their votes. So please,
yes, no,
let's wait. Let's wait until the 5th of February. Next Sunday is not too far. Then we'll see what will happen. We cannot start judging our heads of state for a decision that they took. That's the exercise of sovereignty.
Yeah, but can you understand, though, that there may be citizens who feel that there's something wrong? Yes.
Not at all. I cannot understand because I know how those things function. I know. I cannot understand that. Even in Europe, even in Europe, for the EU Commission, it happens all the time that the outgoing president, right? The outgoing president, heads of state say, okay, we are satisfied, but I don't want to say it because I prefer waiting till Sunday. But I know what happened in Europe, and not only in Europe, in different international organizations. When heads of state are satisfied, they say, where do we want to change? The chair of the commission, why do you want to change? We want someone who is efficient, someone who is close to the people, someone who is working hard for the progress of the continent. Do we need to change for the sake of change, of changing? No. So I think we should trust
so perhaps,
the wisdom.
Perhaps as a final question on this commission story, there's a petition, as I said, 28 million people signed this petition.
Yes.
That is a significant number of people, and they are feeling aggrieved. Is that something that we ignore just because the processes have been followed?
The process is a totally transparent process. In Africa, we hand 1 billion, about 600 million, since I have the exact figures. That's the population of Africa, right? Okay. 28 millions. I respect their point of view, but that's their point of view. I'm not even sure, because I know what is behind that petition. I don't want any controversial, debate here. I want to be didactic so that people understand. We know what is happening. We know the people who are behind that so-called petition. We know what is happening. We are not small children. We know what is happening, but that's pure manipulation. Pure manipulation. Because those citizens, we out of good faith, are signing those. They don't even know the procedures. They don't know the process. Nobody told them. They told them Moussa Faki is almighty. Moussa Faki has blocked the candidatures of an African citizen. Moussa Faki is a dictator. That's shame. Shame on them. We don't do that. People need to be serious. Right. And one of them, I know, is from Ghana. And President Nana Akufo-Addo did nominate someone, a female candidate. You know for what? For deputy chairperson, not for chairperson.
Perhaps then to wrap up by way of conclusion, so if you could just sum it up again, there were processes of nominations and each country had a date by which they could nominate someone. And
3 months.
3 months, and by that date, there was only one nomination received, and it's now down to the election next weekend. And on that election, there must be a 2/3 majority that votes to reconfirm Commissioner Faki Mahamat. Is that
Chairperson?
Okay. And again, as our heads of state are our representatives, they're essentially our voice when these decisions are made.
Absolutely. They have a mandate given to them by all of us. And we must trust them. And I do trust them personally.
Thank you very, very much indeed for this intriguing conversation. And let's hope that it's helped educate our citizens across the continent, that they can better understand some of these processes. We look forward to talking to you again about your main job, which is the reforms of the AU. Thank you so much indeed, Professor Moukoko Mbonjo.